Hello everyone, welcome to another webinar by Jackson Securities. My name is Jackson Securities. I'm an investment advisor with Jackson Securities Board of Wealth. I've got with me here today Lorry Hughes. Lorry, thanks for coming today. Well.
Yes, thank you, Jacob. Pleasure to be here.
Anyone that's joined that isn't yet a shareholder yet, feel free if you wanted to ask any questions in the chat, send them in. We'll be happy to answer. We'll be looking at the Q&A at the end of it as well. But for the time being, Laurie's going to do a presentation to address current market conditions, a bit more about Yandal as well, and definitely more stuff. So if you want to take it away, Laurie, feel free.
Okay, thanks, Jacob. All right, I'll get straight into it. I think we're running a little bit late from a few technical difficulties, but that's okay. So the presentation is nominally called Exploring for Company Making Deposits. We have been flat out exploring for the last 2.5 years since we listed. There's an obligatory disclaimer. This presentation was put on the ASX yesterday, so you can read through it at your leisure there. Let's have a quick look at our capital structure. Very tightly held register. That's a one key point and takeaway here. 100 million on issue, but it's very tightly held. Our largest individual shareholder is DGO Gold, a very savvy investor in the industry, headed up by Ed Eshues, who's very familiar with our ground. Regal Funds, an institution, DAT Capital, high net worth institution, family office, a number of other 15% held by high net worths, a very relatively small retail component, and a lot of those retail holders are known to me personally because they came in and as I started the company near on 3 years ago. But as you'll see, we trade quite well. We're 50 million market cap. We are getting valued. Not so much resource ounces, but the potential that we have within our highly prospective ground. And I'll take you through that. Here's our board, myself, geologist, nearly 30 years in the industry, in the corporate space for the last 10 to 15 years. I've brought on board recently this year Tim Kennedy, an experienced explorationist. He was over 10 years with Independence Group and a very successful time. And we also have good gold pedigree with Katina Law, who is also a director, non-exec director of DGO Gold. She was one of our founding directors, and she has a lot of corporate experience with Newmont. Okay, so these are the key messages that I'm going to touch on and why investors should take note of us. Answer the question, why have DGO invested a substantial amount of money and taken a big stake in us, 20%, the maximum? Why have they done that? Well, the reasons are these 4 reasons in front of us here. Okay, we have got some of the best ground in Western Australia in a tier 1 jurisdiction. The area is located in the backyard of very large deposits such as the Kalgoorlie Gordon's project, and we also have the Yandal Belt projects, which is in between Jundee, which is one of the biggest mines in the Yandal Belt, approaching over 10 million ounces in size, and you have Thunderbox over 3 million ounces in that Walloona area, another 10 million ounce plus there. So very large deposits, and importantly, our areas are considered brownfields. So these areas are likely to host more gold, and we already have significant drill hits in all our projects, multiple drill hits, multiple prospects with resource potential. A lot of them have historic resources on them. And so if you're going to ask yourself, where would I find some new deposits? I'll be looking in the backyard of existing deposits. That's one of the best places to look. So that's brownfields for you. Okay, and because we're brownfields, that therefore we have a very high potential to find ounces for very low discovery costs. So that's a key point there, comparing us to other companies. Okay, so let's have a look at the projects. We've been very busy in the greenstone belts, as I mentioned, Jundee, Thunderbox, Kalgoorlie area. So in the greenstone belts. Now we have focused, so we've got a lot of ground. We've got over 500 square k's of ground and very highly prospective. So what we've done in recent months, if you track through our reports, ASX reports, you'll see that we've brought all our attention, or most of our attention, down to the Gordon's project near Kalgoorlie. And we've done that for a couple of reasons. One is because it's highly prospective and it's a new discovery area, and we are having a massive crack at expanding that discovery and looking for new discoveries. And we're having huge success with now Malone, and there will be some more news coming out on Malone soon. Recently hit the highest grades, 20 grams per tonne, announced a couple of weeks ago. So we decided, for investors' sake, to allow the investors to focus on us and to say, look, Yandal's got the Gordon's Gold project. They're giving it a very good crack. Investors love that, because we're doing programs up at Barwigi, Sims Find, here and there and everywhere, and sort of investors get a bit confused. So we were happy to sort of set aside 6 months. Let's go hard. Let's find out. If it's big, that's fantastic. We'll continue on that search and definition of resources. If it's not as big as we think, then we turn back to our other prospects. So let's have a closer look.
Okay.
So here we are. We're only half an hour drive out of Kalgoorlie. Sorry, Jacob?
Yeah, we just had, apparently the slide hasn't skipped through as of yet. Maybe.
Really?
Yeah, apparently we're still just on the cover page, that's all.
Oh.
Just have a look.
What about now?
Yeah, we can see that now. So I think maybe that's all right. Feel free to continue. Sorry for the interruption.
Oh, how's that?
Yeah, that's working now. That's working now.
Okay, so I've got to flick it through there. Okay, so might just adjust that. Can you see that?
No, I can't see that at the moment. Just the
okay,
go-to
so that's
webinar.
gone. All right, but that's back.
Yeah, that's perfect now. I can see that now.
All right, so what we'll do, this is the Gordon's project. So this is half an hour's drive out of Kalgoorlie. We've got 4 rigs turning here now, and in the top left-hand side we can see all those dots. We've got multiple yellow dots indicate drill holes that we are planning to do. You can see there's a huge expanse. White dots are the ones that we've already done, where we've released results, and then there's a whole heap of other dots, grey dots, which are in the lab at the moment and expected to come back, and we're furiously drilling. So we discovered in 2019 the Gordon's Dam, which is in the top left-hand side. It's labelled there, and just this year we've uncovered the Malone prospect, which sits on a north-south contact, only 500 metres to the west of Gordon's Dam. So we believe there's huge resource potential at Gordon's Dam. We've done 4 diamond holes there now, and we're about to commence our 5th diamond hole to understand the structure. Gordon's Dam itself is quite complex. You can see some of the grades there. We've got the grades 20 grams per tonne, up to 73 grams per tonne in the oxide, 50 grams per tonne, quite shallow. We have the highest grades we've managed to generate at depth, in the order of 20 grams, related to quartz veins inside a mafic unit, and disrupted by a porphyry unit. So the geology at Gordon's Dam is quite complex. One thing to note about this map is there's two red lines heading northwest and southeast. So these are our key target lines where we believe that there is likely to be gold essentially bleeding or related to these contacts. And that are contacts between a felsic unit, which is yellow, and to a green mafic package. So see Malone, the brand new discovery we announced only last week or the week before, up to 22 grams per tonne in the primary rock. So we've hit primary mineralisation. We are searching for large deposits. We're trying to work out exactly how big can this system be. We still don't know, unfortunately, but that's the exciting part for investors is, are we onto a 1 million ounce deposit? There are multiple 1 million ounce deposits around us. We are only a matter of 3 kilometres in either direction from existing operating mines. We think there's a high chance we could be onto something here. So just flicking through onto the more detailed slide, we can see on the right-hand side of the slide, we have the Gordon's Dam deposit, that's over 400 metres long, oxide mineralisation with porphyry, which is these pink colours going through, representing the porphyry underneath. The porphyry is mineralised, but there's also seems to be better mineralisation on the edges of the porphyry, where it's intruded. So we're in the process of drilling that and putting a geological framework together for that deposit to help us explore for extensions ahead of doing any resource there. We believe there will be a resource there. We've demonstrated over a couple of years now multiple drill hits on resource style patterns, but we're looking for something big. So we started to spread out and we marched off to the west, and you can see that red line there. That red line represents over 4 kilometres in our ground, 4.5 kilometres of prospective ground, which we are testing. And we have in there's little bulge in the south of the image, in the southern part of the image. That's where we've been getting a lot of good hits, where we announced a over 22 gram hit last week is coming out of this contact. So we've identified at least 3 zones of mineralisation related to this contact, and that's where also the gold is hosted within sulfides such as pyrite. We have been seeing a little bit of arsenopyrite and quartz veins and shearing. So we're in the process. There's 2 diamond holes. The first diamond hole is completed now. We're in the process of logging that. The second one, it should be complete by Monday next week, and then we'll look to position a 3rd and 4th diamond holes. So we're getting really aggressive with our exploration here because we want to find a big deposit in short time. We know that investors are impatient. We know that the market doesn't stand around waiting for too long. So we've got to go. We've got the money. We've got the backing. Let's go hard. So just in cross section, is that one's coming up there as well, Jacob?
Yeah, I can see that one.
Okay, so just in cross section, there's the stylized simplified cross section. We have Malone, the Malone prospect on the left, and I've listed the best intersections we have published so far. This is just super early days. We've only done really air core drilling. We've done quite a few RC holes now, and we're waiting on a lot of assays. So the lab is just full of assays. And as I mentioned, we've got 2 diamond holes now into this western Malone contact. We think potentially the Malone contact could be a much bigger system, in fact, than the Gordon's Dam system. We're not sure yet. We really just got to drill. I'm hoping by the end of this year, we're going to have a good idea about what's the size potential, whether it's whether we're looking at a 1 million ounce system or 500,000 ounce system or smaller or larger. We'll have a pretty good idea by the end of this year because we're doing so many drill holes. So that's our intention as we go forward. Okay, so that's about it for Gordon's Dam. We'll continue to put news out on Gordon's Dam and the greater area very soon. As we've done, as I mentioned, we've got over 15,000 meters of drill samples in the lab at the moment. So they come in on a daily basis, sometimes, and a weekly basis. So that should be good for investors going forward. Okay, so just a quick look at our other projects. So these are very highly sought after projects as well. So up in the Yandal Belt, in between Northern Star's Jundee and Bronzewing Mill is our key focus, which is the Yandal Belt. As we also have the Mount McClure project, which is only 20 kilometres from the Bronzewing plant. Bronzewing plant's not turning at the moment. However, Northern Star, one of their deposits, the Aurelia deposit, which is only 6 kilometres from our northern boundary, they are trucking that ore past our Mount McClure project down to the Thunderbox processing facility in the southern Yandal Belt. So there's options for treatment if we can define some resources. So our plan is to drill. We are multiple prospects throughout this whole package in blue, looking to get relevance in the market from new discoveries and classifying resources. Okay, the Barwidgee project. I'll put this one up here. We should have news out on this probably next week from recent RC drilling. These hits here were our initial hits that we drilled earlier. We released late last year and early this year, and we've done follow-up to this now. So stay tuned. A very high-grade system, up to 129 grams per tonne from shallow depth. We've now drilled holes in the order of 300 metres downhole, looking for extensions, looking along strike, over 2 kilometres long strike. So that'll be the subject of the announcements coming out in the coming weeks. So look, this is very interesting. We've got a lot more work to do here. The results we've had to date have essentially shown us that we should go back and do more work here. They're very encouraging. So here's a couple of pictures. So this little cluster, there's a cluster of purple and red dots. They represent about 400 meters of strike of close space drilling, where we've got the high grade hits up to 129 grams per tonne, 60 grams, 30 grams in a confined area. What we're targeting is 3 kilometre strike zone of magnetic feature that we recognise at the moment as our initial target. So we've drilled across there and looking to expand our mineralisation. Here's another one. So Ironstone Well is located approximately 12 kilometres to the north on the Barwidgee Shear. The Barwidgee and the Ironstone Well projects are contiguous with each other. We've separated them on the basis of size and different tenements. Now within the Ironstone Well project, we have the cluster of purple dots in the middle represents our maiden resource there. We put out a resource, 268,000 ounces at about 1.4 grams per tonne at Flushing Meadows, over 85% oxide, essentially from close to surface down to over 100 metres deep. This is just a starting point for us here. So we've recognised that you have a helicopter view, you can see Flushing Meadows is a system that's 2 kilometres long and open at depth. We've got just about 5 kilometres to the north, we've got the Oblique deposit, which is a historic deposit, which is 1 kilometre long. It's open in all directions. And also another 3.5 kilometres to the east, you've got another deposit, which is a Quarter Moon deposit, which is also an historic resource, over 1 kilometre long, and hardly any work around it. So it may be not that easy for the viewers to see here, but there's a lot of dots on this image, and they represent historic drill holes and some recent drill holes. And what we've done here to show the prospectivity, which we believe, and this is part of the reason that our big investors such as DGO have invested in us, because they see this area as having a lot of initial money spent on it, which classifies it as essentially brownfields, because we know there's deposits there. So we're hunting only a few kilometres away from known deposits. This is where the potential is huge to find more deposits. But we also turn our attention to how effective is the historic work. And this is the upside for us now and what we want to investigate. So when we look at the next slide, it'll essentially be the same area, just zoomed in a little bit over the Flushing Meadows area, but we'll have only the effective drill holes in it. So if I click on that, and it shows you there's not many dots in between the main deposits. So we've removed all the ineffective, what we classify as ineffective drill holes. And these are holes that haven't penetrated deeper than 50 meters into the clays and superficial rocks. Because this part of the world, the Yandal Belt, is very well known for having very deep weathering. So you can drill a hole and not hit hard rock into well over 100 meters in places. So this has hampered previous exploration over the previous 30 odd years. So we know now to test an area properly, we want to do air core drilling and get down to the hard rock, which is as deep as we can. So now you can see, if we look at Flushing Meadows, they're north to oblique. There's virtually no drilling at all along that structure. And then south from Flushing Meadows to Flinders Park. Very interesting geology through here. This was part of the area which DGO were attracted to, coming in, having a look at this. This is going to be one of our future areas for discovery and extensive testing. So this whole area, all these black lines, are our initial wide space lines on 800 meters line spacing. So we're in the process of doing that. So it's going to be a big year next year. As I said, we have been focusing the whole company's attention and funds mostly on the Gordon's Dam, and we'll continue to do that to such a point as we get an idea of how big that deposit, that group of deposits can be. But this project here is another high priority for the company, and the market, I believe, is waiting for us to get back here and to do it justice. All right, so that's just a couple of key prospects we have, and I'll just finish off on the last one, which is Mount McClure. So we're very soon we're going to start drilling this Mount McClure project. As I said, up the top of this image, we have the Bronzewing processing facility, only 19.6 kilometers from the northern tip of our boundary. It is a historic mining area. There's about 5 relatively shallow open cut mines within our tenure here, Success, Parmelia and Challenger Group. They were all mostly mined in the late 80s and early 90s, down to essentially the hard rock, and all of them have mineralization at depth beneath the pits. So we're looking to explore. We have done a little bit of exploration and we have had very early success. We've identified a new lode, such as the HMS sulfur prospect, which is in the footwall of the Parmelia of the Success pit, which is the Success was the largest open cut mine in our group here, where approximately 40,000 ounces was mined, and it's still open at depth. And there's lodes in the footwall there which we've uncovered. So we're just about to start a 5,000 meter program of deep RC. Here's a couple of examples which show what we're about. On the left hand side, we have the Parmelia cross section. You can see the pit there, schematic of the mineralization that was mined. We did this blue hole in the middle. We proved where previously it wasn't thought that the mineralization continued, but it does. There's 2 zones there going 4 grams, 5 grams, with hits up to 7. We're now in the process, just about to embark on a very exciting program where we're going to essentially assess underground potential here. So if these holes come in, we can clearly see resource potential directly beneath existing pits. So very exciting, particularly when you have mills turning nearby or mills available to come back into production. We probably won't have to go and build a mill. We just want to focus on finding resources to become relevant. And on the right-hand side, we have the new HMS sulfur lode. A couple of hits with RC drilling at the top. 11 meters at 2.5 grams per tonne was our best hit there. And when you look at the database, completely open at depth. So we think there's a pretty high chance that we're going to hit something here as well. So these are just two of the targets we have within that Mount McClure project. So to finish off now is just going back to the key takeaways, which are very simple to understand, I believe. We have got excellent ground. It's very hard to find ground with this sort of quality. The body of previous work shows us that it's very prospective, and that's why we call it brownfields now. So it's in the shadow of deposits and operating mines. So we classify that as brownfields, and that's where you're going to have the best chance of doing discoveries. And we definitely will have low discovery costs per ounce going forward because we're extending known mineralisation in a lot of cases. And no one can really argue that we're not in a tier 1 jurisdiction for mining across the world. So that's another tick for us. Our shareholders are the final tick. Very supportive, very tight register. DGO Gold and other investors, similar investors, they all want to see us be successful. And that's only going to happen through the discovery. So they're prepared to back us in. We feel very confident about future funding going forward. We've got plenty of cash in the bank currently, but when we get onto something big, we're going to have the right shareholders on board already. So thank you, Jacob. I'll hand it back over to you for any questions.
Thanks, Lorry. No, it's a great demonstration. You guys have some pretty good assets in the business from what we can see, and definitely a standout on the ASX, especially some of these miners that are under about 200 mil. So yeah, I'll jump into some questions. Obviously, I think after this as well, we'll probably have a copy of the presentation that maybe we can send out, and or if people can see it in full screen. But firstly, in terms of a question for you, Lorry, like I wanted to congratulate you on a great year. I wanted to say thank you on behalf of myself and shareholders as well. But going back over the last 12 months, businesses have been flipped on their side. I guess, what do you feel the most accomplished about in the last 12 months? What's something that you feel good about?
Well, I think we're on to a number of discoveries. So there's nothing the market likes more than a discovery. So that's what we're being focused on. We're, as I said, the theme of the presentation is Gordon's Dam and Malone. Malone is brand new, and I actually believe the market hasn't really rated us for that yet. To pull off virgin, brand new 20 gram per tonne hits in primary rock on a major structure 30 kilometres from Kalgoorlie. The market doesn't really get that. I think that'll come through. So hopefully the next few months, as we put out more and more results, we expand that mineralisation, hopefully show that it continues at depth. A few things got to go right here, but this has got all the hallmarks of a discovery going on there. And then we believe there will be many more. So because it's a very fertile little project we have there at Gordon's. Star at Gordon, there'll be news coming out on that soon. We announced some brand new hits a couple of months ago now, very shallow, high grade hits. We're only 3 kilometres along strike from operating mine, directly along strike. So we are getting rated for that, but I believe there's a long way to go if we continue doing what we're doing.
For sure, no, well said, well said. Now, moving on to the next question here, I'm sure a lot of people, even in the audience, shareholders, they've been underwhelmed by gold's performance. Spot gold, that is, not Yandal Resources. You guys have done pretty well. I'm not going to ask you for a comment on spot gold or anything like that, but I guess which of your major projects should shareholders keep their eyes on in the foreseeable future, I guess, in particular?
Well, it is all of them. But however, front and center will be Gordon's down.
Gotcha.
That's what it will be for the next 3 to 6 months. We are working up our other projects in the background, as I said, like Mount McClure, that's getting drilled now. So those assays will come through before the end of the year. It will also be a nice addition. But for investors' sake, we just wanted to try and focus on one thing, and that give us our best chance of getting the share price moving in the right direction.
Perfect. Now, moving on as well, I'm sure a lot of people watching today, they've got a lot of gold stocks and miners in their portfolio, to be exact. I will definitely say in the last 12 months, you guys have been a pretty good standout. I guess, why has Yandal had such great performance? Because other ASX companies merely have just been following the spot gold price. I'm not going to mention any names, but yeah, what can you comment on that?
Well, one of the other factors where we are on the radar of a lot of investors is the DGO gold tie-up. So they took an initial placement with us last year, $4 million, and Regal also came in there with $2 million at 50 cents. So we're actually haven't gone too much higher, we're not too much higher right now than that placement price. So they took an initial investment then. Since then, they've increased up until last month. They actually increased their holding to 20%. So they bought out Northern Star. Northern Star wanted to sell. They had a corporate sell down. They sold their Kundana assets in Kalgoorlie. Their non-core assets they put on the block, which included the shareholding in Yandal. But that's fine because we've got people that will back us in. So DGO Gold have a lot of followers. They've been very successful. They've got very successful explorationists on their management team, particularly it's run by AEST, who's very famous from discoveries in the Yandal Belt going in the 90s, Jundee, Bronzewing, the key ones for us in our backyard. So DGO Gold have a huge following in Australia and overseas through their investments. So their strategy is to explore, but also invest in the best explorers. So they were very successful recently with De Grey. De Grey was a huge success story in the last 2 years, which DGO Gold were right there backing them along the way. So we're one of their other portfolio companies. They've invested in us now, and now they're looking to help us grow into hopefully the next De Grey.
Sure. Next 12 months look pretty exciting, that's for sure. And I guess for yourself, looking forward the next 12 months, just commenting on that, is there anything in particular you're most excited for? I guess shareholders should keep their eye out for.
Yeah, well, we're growing our team. It's been a challenge, that's for sure. But we're attracting very good staff, and that's because the staff themselves, everyone wants to be involved in the discovery. So why don't you find the best ground and go and work for them? And that's what's happening with us, is people are recognising, discoveries don't come every day. I know geologists that have been working there for 30 years, they haven't found anything. Okay, so you want to be involved in something successful. So that's something to watch from us.
Perfect. No, we myself and shareholders obviously look to seeing this team grow. You guys have got great assets, as we can see. Management's been doing a great job over the last 12 months. Share price has been stellar as well. So look, we're definitely really excited for the next 12 months, and people are going to be keeping their eyes out for sure. I'd like to say to the audience as well, if you guys do have any more questions, feel free to email them in. You can email them to inquiries@Port Jackson Securities. You can email Lorry directly. You can email Yandal directly as well. I know they'll be happy to keep in touch with shareholders. We'll be happy to answer any questions that we can as well. We might even have a copy of the presentation afterwards as well that we might send out to some viewers. If there was any trouble viewing that, we'll make sure to get that sorted. But I wanted to thank you, Lorry. Thanks for coming on board. Thanks for doing the presentation. Hope you guys have a killer end of year. And obviously keeping busy is always good as well. We'll be really excited to hear all that news flow. Thank you.
All right, keep watching. Should be good.
No worries. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
This is another webinar brought to you by Jackson Securities. My name was Jacob. Thank you again, Laurie, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers.
All right. Thank you. All right.